Hello, everyone. Hello. I believe we're live. Just going to wait a few moments because Facebook always has a bit of a delay. So just bear with me one sec. I can see that I'm live. Yes, hello. Okay, excellent. Hello, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Unleash Your Inner Storyteller 3-day challenge. I'm super excited to be diving deep with you guys today. As you're joining, say hello. Let me know where in the world you're joining me from. I know there's been quite a few people who have joined this group over the past few days, specifically for this deep dive. So I'd love to hear in the comments, where are you guys from? Where are you tuning in from? We've got Jules and Maya. Hello. I can see there's a few people joining. So make sure you pop in and say hi so I know who you are. I'm so excited to be delving into this with you guys today. This is one of my most favorite topics. And it has only very recently become one of my most favorite topics, really this year become one of my most favorite topics, which is the art of storytelling and how to really harness the power of your story and your journey to grow your business, to expand your brand, and to really help you soulfully connect with people in your community who are watching you, right? If you're showing up on social media regularly, whether you know it or not, there's going to be a lot of people who are actually circling around in your vortex, so to speak, whether you can see them or not. By being able to harness the power of your journey, harness the power of your story, and learn how to communicate your story in a way that is both intuitive and strategic, it gives a really beautiful opportunity for your people to start to move towards you, for your people to start to bond with you, right? Especially if you work with women, if you work with women who are, conscious, soulful women. We love to connect with our people, right? We make emotional buying decisions. And by you really harnessing the power of your story and learning how to communicate that really effectively, it helps you to magnetize your people towards you, right? It helps them to bond with you in a way that just putting up informative content doesn't allow. So we're going to be talking about that. I think I've got these on the wrong way. Let me go. So who have we got? Hi, Christine. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Mary. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Rosie. Beautiful. We've got so many awesome people here. So continue, as you're dropping in, continue to pop in and say hi so I know who you are. I will give a little introduction about me. So if you're new to this group, you may not know who I am. My name is Tash Ashwin. I am obviously the facilitator of the Business Alchemy Collective. I'm a business strategist and I work with women in business primarily, some men, but I work with people in business who really feel like their business is their soul work. This is not just a side hustle. It is a part of the reason why they are here on the planet in this lifetime, incarnated right now, because of the work that they do, right? It's transformative, it's powerful, it has the potential to transform people's lives, right? And so really when we look at the ripple effect of that actually has the potential to transform the planet. So these are the people that I work with. I've got lots of people who are joining. Hi, Camilla, who are very familiar with my work, so welcome. I'm also the CEO of Ashwin Publishing as well. This has been a fairly recent new addition to me and my business. As of really September this year. And so we've got a number of people here who are in the first multi-author book that Ashwin Publishing is releasing at the end of January. And that book is called Wild Woman Rising, Brave Women Who Carved Their Own Path. And essentially it's a multi-author book. So we've got up to, I think, 28 women who are in that book. Hi, Annabelle. Hi, Amanda. Who are in that book and who have gone through the journey and, still going through that journey of writing their story, right? Of really claiming the power of their journey, the power of their work, the power of their experiences, the power of the things that have transformed them, claiming the power of all of that and building the tenacity and the courage to share that on a global scale. So we're going to be releasing that book at the end of January. It's going live on Amazon all around the world, which is so exciting. So stay tuned. We also have a second book, which is called Sacred Rebel, Women Who Dare to Disrupt. And that book still has lots of spaces in it at the moment. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit more with you over the next 3 days about that journey itself. This one is a big project. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that toward the end of our session today. But effectively, essentially, I have not always been in business, right? So I've been in business for 10 years, doing various different types of things, but that hasn't always been the case. It was really only about 15 years ago that I was in Canberra. I was studying at the ANU. Canberra's the capital of Australia if you're an international. I was studying politics at the ANU and absolutely hating life. I had decided to go to uni to study politics purely because I got in and my dad suggested it. And the person that I most wanted to impress most in the world was my dad. And so I made the decision to go to uni and to study politics, something that really, really did not light up my soul. And it was about a year and a half in. I remember I was sitting at this beautiful cafe, this alternative bookshop cafe that I used to frequent all the time because it was like my escape from uni. And I was sitting in this beautiful bookshop, drinking coffee in this armchair, reading this book called Breaking Open the Head by Daniel Pinchbeck. And this book completely and utterly transformed my life, right? I was sitting in this chair reading this book, and this book is all about shamanic cultures. It's all about culture in general, about, the author Daniel Pinchbeck, he traveled all around the world exploring different shamanic medicine. And in particular, he traveled to South America where he encountered this highly psychedelic shamanic brew called ayahuasca. He wrote all about it. It totally changed his life. And as I was sitting in this book, I was about 21 years old, sitting in this book, sitting in this chair, reading this book, learning about South American shamanic culture, it was like this bell went off in my head. And I was like, what on earth am I doing studying international politics? And I felt like I was standing at a crossroads, right? On one direction, I could finish my degree, I could get a job in the public service, I would find a nice man, we would buy a house, we would have children, we would settle down, and that would be my lot. On the other path, I could make the decision to leave uni, I could travel overseas, I could go and find myself. It was always this, finding myself, which I'm sure many of you have probably experienced when you're in your early 20s. Go and find myself, go and explore shamanic culture, go and, really figure out what the hell I was here to do, because it certainly wasn't politics. And so I got on the bus to drive home. I was still living with my parents. And as I was driving through the streets of Canberra, everything looked like Pleasantville. And I don't know if you've ever been to Canberra before, but it's all perfectly manicured. Everything is perfectly in its place. And to me, it felt like Pleasantville. It felt completely synthetic. It felt fake. I could see through it, and it was like I was living in this cage, right? I had this feeling of being boxed in, where my lack of freedom in that city, studying that degree, doing politics, doing something I hated, was this oppressive wall that started to close in on me. And so as I turned up to my parents' house and I unlocked the door and I walked in, and Mum was in the kitchen making dinner. How are you going, Tash? How was your day? And I told her, I'm dropping out of uni. I'm going to travel to South America. And my dad was in the other room and he heard, and he came in. Both of their jaws completely and utterly dropped to the floor. And what I didn't realize at the time was that every single person in my family had followed a very particular path. They went to uni, they got the degree, they got the good job, they got the experience in the job, they followed that pathway, right? And when I came into that house at that time and said, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do something totally different, it was a massive, massive disruption to my family's status quo, right? It was huge, absolutely massive. You don't have any money. How are you going to be able to afford this? You're going to go to South America? Why would you want to go to South America? Like, what's in South America? And I said, I know I don't have any money, but I'm going to figure it out. And so for the next 6 months, I worked between 12 to 16-hour days. I would open up this cafe at 6 a.m. in the morning. I would work until 3:30. I'd have a few hours off, and then I'd go to a bar. I'd work from 5:30 or 6 o'clock until midnight, sometimes even later than midnight. And then I would wake up in the morning and I would do it all over again. And I saved tens of thousands of dollars in 6 months, right? In a really short period of time. And I remember walking through the departure lounge. My best friend at the time decided to come with me. So I had a buddy. We had our backpacks on, walking through the departure lounge, getting our tickets to Buenos Aires, and entering onto that plane and feeling like I had completely and utterly reclaimed my freedom. I'd reclaimed the path in my life that I wanted to take. I wasn't going to follow the tried and true method. I was going to listen to the whispers of my own heart, and I was going to follow that. And I had some of the most life-changing experiences in South America, right? And I know, Camilla, you said they were going to go to the jungle and be eaten by lions. Well, this incredible experience with this jaguar in the jungle that was like fucking life-changing. I had this experience drinking in an ayahuasca ceremony where I was shown this vision of myself sometime down the track, standing on stage, speaking to a room full of women. And I was told during that experience that you're a catalyst for transformation. At the time, I was like, I'm a catalyst for what? And they said, well, the energy of ayahuasca, which often appears as the feminine, as the mother, she said, the work that you're here to do will be transformative. It will transform women's lives. And I was shown lifetimes, many, many, many lifetimes, where I had done very similar work. And this was the next expression of that. And so I came back to Australia. I moved to Melbourne. I started a series of trainings, where I did all these different modalities, shiatsu, kinesiology, EFT, RTT, so many different modalities. And I started my own business, right? But I learned that if I had not had the courage to follow my heart, to make decisions intuitively, to question the status quo, I would be living a very different path. I would be living a very different expression of life. Very, very different, right? And that's what's led me here, essentially, is my willingness to listen to the whispers of my heart, to follow my intuitive nudges, and to make quick decisions, acting upon them. So, I hope my story has captivated you. Let's all take a breath. What I wanted to demonstrate to you guys is the power of storytelling. Okay, so hopefully over the past 15 minutes, you've been totally present with me, right? Hopefully you haven't been flicking through on social media on one screen and watching me on the other. Hopefully my intention is that you've dropped right into your heart. You've started to imagine through your mind's eye and your imagination my experience, which has actually helped your heart to open, right? It's helped you to bond just that little bit more with me. Now, the reason why I decided to tell a story that could be seen as potentially a bit extreme, right? Going to South America to do something, to drink some psychedelic brew. There'd be some people out there that would go, no way. That's too much for me. And they would disappear. There would be other people that would go, oh, I like this woman. I like what she's about. I'm going to move closer towards her, right? And this is the power of storytelling, okay? Storytelling to magnetize the right people toward you and repel the wrong kind of people away from you. Now, if you're showing up lots in social media or creating lots of content, being seen lots in your business, then you want to make sure that you have some way that you are pre-qualifying the people who consume your content prior to actually jumping on a call with them, like a sales call. Otherwise, you're going to find you're getting on calls with people who are really not the right fit. So storytelling, implementing storytelling and learning how to evoke and move people and to evoke their imagination by sharing your story is one of the most powerful connection strategies. It's one of the best ways that you can pre-qualify people, because people that don't resonate with your story will fuck right off. And the people that do, that love, are touched, moved, and inspired by your journey will naturally make progressive steps toward you, right? Toward what I call the center of your sales spiral, right? Where they're loving your stuff. You are nurturing them. They are being moved and inspired by your content. and the natural next progression is for them to reach out, to book some sort of, to invest in some way. So why is storytelling so powerful? Now, we've all probably experienced, oh, not probably, we all have experienced the power of storytelling, right? You just need to take a look at Hollywood, who spends billions of dollars, I don't know if it's billions, it probably would be hundreds of millions of dollars on story, right? On finding the right story. If you've ever read a book that has completely and utterly captivated you, where you felt like you have been taken to another world, right? You've been swept out of this world and plonked right into another world. This is the power of storytelling. And the reason why it's so powerful is because it is completely and utterly immersed and enmeshed in our DNA. So if you cast your mind back millions of years when we were living in tribes, right? The way we taught our people, the way we shared experiences was through storytelling. We would sit around a campfire, right? We would take turns sharing story and evoking everyone's imagination and teaching through story and, really bringing in the whole community to bond together around story. It is one of the most effective ways to move people out of that left-hand side logical side of their brain and into the right-hand side creative, expansive feeling state, right? It drops people right into their heart. So they are not caught up in their heads. They're feeling. I 100% believe that, people talk about know, like, and trust, right? We need to build KLT, know, like, and trust for people to actually invest with us. I believe initially it has to be feel, know, like, and trust. People have to feel us. They have to feel our journey. They have to feel our passion. They have to feel the very expression of who we are. So are you giving your people and your community an opportunity for them to feel you? And I'd love to hear in the comments on like a scale of 1 to 10, right? 1, I'm totally hiding. I'm not saying anything. 10, I'm fully self-expressed. I'm sharing my story. I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. I'm allowing myself to be seen. Where would you be on that scale right now? And that's the other thing when it comes to implementing storytelling, is that we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We have to allow ourselves to be seen, right? For many of us, that's very, very difficult. As strong women, we've been taught that it's important to try and do everything on our own, and we have to have our shit together, and we have to really be seen as strong and capable and powerful and empowered. But in actual fact, your audience is craving your deeper connection. They're craving reality from you. They're craving people who are real with them. They want to know you. They want to know what makes you tick. They want to know what experiences you've had. They want to know what you've transformed, right? And allowing yourself to crack down the boundaries of your hard, tough exterior would be one of the most important, I believe, one of the most important things that can help you start to cultivate community around you. I know from my experience, of 6 years building my online business, 10 years being in business in general, but especially I'm speaking to my online experience, that your community and your ability to nurture and nourish community will be directly linked with profit, with the amount of money that you're making in your business. Now, there is a caveat there. Provided you can take that beautiful community and move them through an effective sales process. Oh, sorry, that was my phone. My Healy program has finished. I'll take it off. And move those people through an effective sales process. So what we're going to talk about over the next 3 days, I'm going to be sharing with you some really practical and powerful tips that you can implement to start introducing storytelling right now, right away. And then we're going to be talking about how to actually sell without selling, so to speak, right? How to move people through an effective sales process using storytelling, and how to move people into that space where they are ready to buy, right? Where they're ready to invest, where they recognize you are the mentor for them. You are the person they want to invest in. You are the person that they are willing to hand over their credit card for, so you can help them get the transformational desired results that they want. Right? So it's quite a process to take someone from one space over here, where they're a cold client, where they have no idea who you are, to they have been totally nurtured, they've been warmed, they know you, they understand you, they understand your work, and they're ready to buy. So we're going to explore bits and pieces, elements of that, and we're going to be talking about how to have your story be an effective piece that's going to help sell the deal, so to speak. So let me have a look. I've got some notes over here. So essentially, your story is your gold. It is your gold, right? Your personal journey, the transformations that you've lived through, that you've experienced, the ups and the downs, the many, 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 many heroes' journeys. We're going to talk about that as well, that you've gone through, that have transformed you, that have slowly moved you along the chronology of events of your life to the point that you are here right now, having learned the things that you've learned, having implemented the things that you've implemented, having, mastered the things that you have mastered, is your gold mine. And when it comes to business, when it comes to, people having the confidence to really take their business to the places that they dream of, right? Like really bringing in higher levels of success. Maybe it's taking your business to the global stage, building a brand that is known and recognized. When it comes to that, there's one very, very powerful thing that can actually restrict our confidence, right? And this is, of course, imposter syndrome. People who, and we've all experienced it, the experience of having a voice in your head or beliefs in your heart that tell you you're not good enough. Who are you? Why would people listen to you? Who are you to make yourself or to try and call in so much success? You don't know what you're talking about, right? So I'm sure we've all experienced in varying degrees how debilitating imposter syndrome can be. I believe people experience imposter syndrome because they are so focused on what's coming next. They're so focused on the next up level. They're so focused on the next goals. They haven't taken stock, paused, and reflected on how far they've come. When you do that, when you stop and allow yourself to recognize just how far you've come in your life, all the things that you've moved through, the hours, hundreds, thousands of hours that you've invested studying and practicing and cultivating and mastering your craft, the thousands of dollars that you've invested to get to where you are right now, all the traumas that you've powerfully and empoweringly moved through. When you make that a practice to stop and to reflect and to write about that and to show people, bring people into that world, into your world, that's like the antithesis to imposter syndrome, 100%. All right, so I really want to stress the power and importance of doing this, right? Of recognizing how far you've come and of writing about it, of sharing about it with your community. It makes such a big difference to your business. It makes such a big difference to your confidence. It makes such a big difference to how people connect with you, right? Which is essential. We're in the space of connection these days, right? We've got so many old, outdated, quite masculine, energetically driven sales tactics that don't work anymore, especially with the uprising of women in the entrepreneurial space. We want to be connected. We want to feel people. We want to know people's journey, right? So it's so powerful. So what we're going to talk about, I want to take you through a little process. Celebration time for all, absolutely. And I may as well have a look at some of these here. I'm learning to share the part of me that I haven't allowed to be seen, the part that gets sad, the part that doesn't have it all together, the part that gets pissed, being human. I love that. That's so powerful. Hi, Kirsty, beautiful one. Passion through my workspace and my mission and community and being visible, but I value my personal space as private. Find social media hard. Yeah, and that you bring up a really good point, right? It is. We can have it can open us up to the whole world, right? Being on social media, bringing people into our world. It can feel intimate, right? It can feel like it can be too much. My advice, and I say this to every single client that I work with, my advice is to only share things that and stories and experiences where the emotion is turned right down, right? So you've actually processed the emotion from those experiences. They're not emotionally charged experiences for you anymore. They will still be emotionally charged, but it's not raw. It's not, you're not in the thick of it, right? You're not airing out your dirty laundry, so to speak, on social media. But of course, it's a scale, how much and how little you want to share. But what we're also going to talk about over the, probably on, most likely on the Friday, what we're going to talk about is how to actually use storytelling by sharing your client transformations, right? How to utilize the core concepts of story to share your client wins, to share testimonials, to talk about your personal, transformations in your business, so that you can really illustrate to people how powerful the work is that you do, the process that you take people through, and the fact that it works, right? The fact that it actually works. This is so important, this social proof. But we can introduce storytelling concepts when we're doing that to keep people engaged, to keep their attention. In social media, the number one currency is attention, right? And so anything that we are doing where we're spending attention, where we're not focused on, really captivating people and holding people's awareness, that's expensive for us from a social media, from a business and entrepreneurial perspective, right? So just wanted to share that with you, Amanda, because I feel like there's going to be other elements. If you're not like wanting to share, your full story, which is totally okay, there's going to be other elements of storytelling that you can incorporate that's still going to really powerfully help you elevate your business. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So when it comes to story, right, it was the very famous mythologist Joseph Campbell, who I'm sure a lot of you guys know. I'm actually just going to have a sip of my smoothie. 1 minute. If you see me bouncing and you're like, what is she doing? I'm bouncing on a pregnancy ball. I forgot to say I'm also 33 weeks pregnant with my second baby. I should have said that in my intro. So yeah, I've got my pregnancy ball here, all positioning well for labor. So we've got it was the very famous mythologist Joseph Campbell who coined what he calls the hero's journey, right? And this is this very, very, very particular narrative arc that is experienced in almost every single powerful story, right? Throughout mythology, throughout Hollywood, it's everywhere, right? When you start to understand the hero's journey and how it shows up in story, you'll start to spot it in absolutely everything, right? It's really, really common and it's really powerful. And so essentially, when we have a story that we're wanting to share, whether it's a personal story of yours, you want to first of all understand. So if you have some pen and a piece of paper, because we're going to start getting into the crux of the training, you first of all want to understand, in my story that I'm sharing, who is the hero? Who is the hero of my story, or the heroine? Yay, new babies. Amanda's my doula. She's going to be helping me birth my beautiful baby in a few weeks, not long. Who is the hero of my journey, right? Is it me? Am I the hero? Is it, am I speaking about a client? Is the client the hero? Am I speaking about something that's like an inanimate thing or a movement or something that I'm describing that I'm positioning as the hero or the heroine, obviously, right? It's particularly if you're talking and wanting to share a personal story, it's most likely going to be that the hero is you, right? And then we want to understand, in every story, there is some sort of villain, whether that's a person or whether that's someone or something, right? So in my personal journey my story that I shared with you before, the villain that I can see, the villain is the status quo, right? This is like this thing that I've been rebelling against for a really long time, and I'm writing about it in these books, right? It comes up for me all the time, right? The status quo, the tried and true, the standard, the original, the family tradition, right? That's the villain in my story. So you want to ask yourself, in your story that you're wanting to share, who is your villain? Who is the villain, right? It might be someone, but it might be something. It might be an energy. It might be a mindset. It might be a habit. It might be a group of people. There will be something that is the villain. And then in the hero's journey arc, we typically have a mentor as well. So someone who heralds and calls to action, who heralds adventure and calls to adventure. So for me, in my story that I shared, the mentor would be a couple of mentors. It would be the author of the book that totally set me on the path, and it would be the energy of the shamanic medicine, the ayahuasca plant, who really cultivated within me the directions that I wanted to go, right? So in your story, who is the mentor, or what is the mentor? What's the call to adventure? There will always be some call to adventure. What challenge does the hero have to go through? There will be some sort of challenge, some sort of event, some sort of battle that the hero has to move through, has to really grow through in order to reach the other side, right? And then what possibilities come as a result of that challenge? What's the reward? What's the experience that the hero can then take back to his or her community? What's the lesson or the moral? And then what are the themes? Okay, so there's a few components that essentially forms the hero's journey, right? And when we can understand that, and if you look at it, it's often described like this, right? The hero sets out on an adventure, he goes deep into the, or she goes deep into the underworld, goes down into the underworld to fight something, to have some battle, to move through some experience. You think about, Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort. You think about, the Star Wars movies. There's always some sort of experience that the person has to go through or grow through, right? And then they come back out the other end and they are better off as a result. They come back with wisdom to share. They come back with reward that they've experienced, right? But it's really important for you when you're starting to bring in ideas and stories for your personal business that you understand what's the lesson that I want to share when it comes to this story. So what I would love for everyone to do over the next kind of 24 hours is to sit down and to think about, ask yourself, if there were 3 to 5 momentous, or they don't even have to be momentous, 3 to 5 events that I can remember or that I can think about, that I can see have transformed me on my journey, have led me to move slightly along the path to get me to this point where I am right now in my business, what would they be? What would those experiences be? It might be, for example, quitting your job, or, deferring from uni. It might be the birth of a child. It might be getting married. It might be, some powerful experience that you had in your life. It might even be a small moment in time. But the key here is you want to find the experiences that are emotionally charged, right? That moved you, that where there's high emotion attached, not emotion that you're still processing, but the experience was highly emotional. So I want you to find 3 to 5 memories, all right? And plot them along your chronology of events, right? And what I want you to start to think about, this is what I call uncovering your golden thread, okay? So the golden thread is the thing or things that link your personal story, your journey, the transformational things that you've moved through in your life with the work that you currently do with your clients, with the transformational results that you facilitate. So there will always be, and it can be quite challenging sometimes to uncover the thread, but there will always be a thread that links your journey with the work that you do with your clients. It's really important to uncover that and to look at that from this perspective, especially if we're using storytelling from a sales perspective, right? So if we want to know how to use our personal story to captivate audiences, to captivate potential clients, and help move them through that sales process, we need to know how to link our story with our work. So this is what I call your golden thread, right? You might have multiple golden threads, multiple stories and experiences that link with the transformational work that you currently facilitate for your clients. When we understand what the threads are, so for me, in the story that I shared, where I deferred out of uni, I traveled to South America to find myself, and I discovered that I was being called to do transformational work with women, right? That was the experience. The thread, the golden thread, is learning how to take action on the whispers of your intuition, learning how to take action that is not defined by the status quo, cultivating the courage to start your own business, because business is not easy. Business challenges absolutely everything that we have within us. Every cell in our DNA is challenged by our business. And actually, I believe there's a very specific energetic type that can handle the intensity of business, right? That's why most people don't have a business. Most people have a 9-to-5 with regular income, right? So what I want to illustrate whenever I share that story is the power and the importance of honoring your intuition, of cultivating courage, of moving in directions that are away from the status quo so that you can start something from nothing, so that you can build your own business, so that you have the confidence to move through all of the powerful ways that we get shut down in business to actually create profitable success, right? So that's one of the golden threads. So what I want you to do is I want you to think 3 to 5 memories that link you with the work that you currently do right now. And then I want you to uncover the themes, or what I call the golden thread, right? So what was it about that experience that now informs the transformational work you do with your clients? Whenever we're sharing storytelling from a sales perspective, it's really important that we bring it back to how does this relate to your client? How does this relate to your potential clients, to your soulmate clients? By me sharing this story, what message am I trying to get across? What moral am I trying to share? What experience am I highlighting, but allowing my community to come to that experience of their own volition, right? It's like when we're in coaching, when we coach people, we don't want to just give them the answer right away, right? We want to allow them, create the space and allow for them to find the answer on their own. That's always going to be so much more empowering and powerful for your clients. The same is true for storytelling, right? So by you being able to share stories, you can actually encourage your reader to have a transformational experience by hearing about someone else's journey, whether that's yours or a client or someone else that you know, right? So we're not just laying it all out on the table. It's really important to understand the themes, right? And then you start to recognize the trends. So you start to say, oh, okay, I can see that I'm getting a lot of this theme of, like, for example, in my, in using me as an example, like, disrupting the status quo, honoring your intuition, cultivating courage, really being able to take action even when you don't want to, even when, cultivating the courage to take action even when you don't feel like it, right? These are themes that start to make themselves known to me, that then inform the basis of my messaging, okay? So your story and your message, very related but quite different at the same time. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but this is just like the basic overview, right? Your ability to bring storytelling and connect it or weave it, like I like to use this word, weave it with your business message, is what is going to have your storytelling lead to sales, right? It's what's going to actually allow you to bring strategy. So you're not just writing intuitively for the sake of it because you feel like sharing a story. You're writing strategically, right? From a place of sharing this story to move people through your process, right? So it's very, very important to have a combination of both. So this is, like I said, the golden thread, uncovering the golden thread that links your personal journey with your transformational work that you do within your business. And you, like I said, you're going to find there's going to be numerous different threads that link. But the clearer you are in understanding how this experience here links with the work I do now and the transformational experiences that that I facilitate for my clients, is really important. If that's not clear, then that story potentially is not going to translate. Okay, so that's really important. Understanding in as little words as possible, what's the thread, what's the theme, how does this link my story to the work that I do now? Okay, I'm going to take a sip. 1 minute. remembering. So what I want you to do, 3 to 5 experiences. I want you to find the theme, right? I want you to find how that journey connects with the experience and with the work you do now. I want you to write the sequence of events, right? So this is what happened first. I decided I didn't want to be at uni. I read this book and it introduced me to something, to a new way of being. I deferred from university. I worked for 6 months. I bought a flight to South America. I traveled to the Amazon. I did an ayahuasca ceremony that transformed my life, right? Sequence of events, okay? And then once you have that basic sequence of events and the basic themes, the stories, that's where you're going to start to build up your catalog, right? A story catalog. And then you can start to categorize them depending upon the major themes, depending upon like what's the moral that I'm highlighting. And then it's easy for you to weave that into your content, right? Because this is the theme of this story. This is the theme. This is the lesson. This is the golden thread. Whenever I'm talking about this in my business and how this relates to my clients, I can use that story. I can share that story to bring in that storytelling element, right? To really like captivate my audience. So it's not just a stock standard piece of informational content. It becomes transformational. So I'm going to be writing this down and popping this in the group so that you kind of got the steps to move through with this. Let me go. I'm about a 7. Definitely started to share more of my stories this year. I've seen you do that, Kirsty, and I know that that's had a really big impact on your business. Does the thread equal the theme? The thread equals the theme. Yeah, it's just another way of highlighting it. I like the analogy of the golden thread because you can see like this is the thread that weaves my life experiences with my business and the work that I do now. But it's essentially the theme, right? The theme, and because obviously like your soulmate clients, like 9 times out of 10, they're going to be on a very similar journey to you just a few steps before, like a few steps behind. So when you can uncover the themes, they will most likely relate with your soulmate client because they're probably somewhere in that journey right now. So when you can share that experience, boom, it connects with them straight away in the heart, right? It's a heart-opening experience. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys today. All right. I wanted to introduce the power of storytelling. If you're not already building in story into your content, into your business, in Facebook Lives, in pretty much any kind of marketing piece that you're doing, I highly encourage you to do it. And, this is the power of owning our journey, right? It's the power of recognizing I've come a fucking long way. Yeah. In the however many years I have been since I started on this journey, right? When we can step into that space where we recognize that our journey is powerful, that actually I have a story and it's transformational. It has the potential to transform people's lives. And when we write in a way that is intuitive and strategic at the same time, we are very, very naturally starting to build communities of people who love our stuff, right? Who absolutely love our work. The power of then taking that to the global stage, whether that's through a published work, whether that's through, writing in publications, whether that's through writing your own book, whether that's through creating or contributing to a multi-author book. There's so many different ways that we can share our story on the big stage. That's truly, I believe, where we actually step into the next version of ourselves, right? The next level version of self, who's ready to own our journey, who's ready to share it on a big stage, who is actually recognizing that our journey, this is our mission. It's so much more than just a side hustle. It's so much more than me just, doing my business because I want to. I'm running my business because this is a part of my soul mission. This is big, right? I'm a soulful entrepreneur. So who am I to not share my journey on the global stage? Very, very powerful. It's a very powerful embodiment practice. I'm sharing a lot more now because I can now. When I was working in the healthcare field, I couldn't. Absolutely, very valid. I was mind blown this year when I shared a story regarding my journey with healing my womb, and it led to a sale within 24 hours. Beautiful. Storytelling is beautiful. So we're going to talk more about the strategic side later down the track, probably on Friday. We're going to delve into messaging tomorrow. But most importantly, like I really want to encourage and hold space for all of you to do the homework. Of course, as I've mentioned, if you show up live, it doesn't even have to be live, but if you show up, if you comment on the videos, if you do all of the like little home play pieces that I have for you, you go into the running to win a 45-minute strategy session with me, where we can actually delve into the bones of your story and map it out. Like we can do so much in 45 minutes. The reason why I'm doing this is because obviously the more that you put into anything, the more you get out of it. This has the capacity to be really transformative for your business. If you want to really change the trajectory of 2021, this is one element that I highly, highly encourage you to include into your content creation and in your business. There's going to be opportunities for you to actually share some storytelling in this group, whether that's through written story or verbal story through Facebook Live. This is a really safe space. I really encourage you to use this space over the next week to share story, right? To really be able to delve into that because it is so powerful. And we're going to be, of course, sharing more about the Sacred Rebel Project as well, which is something I am so, so excited about. We've got this beautiful multi-author best-selling book, which is coming out in May. We have the Sacred Rebel Summit, which is coming out in June. That'll be happening in June, where we're going to be building an international summit that's going to be, spotlighting our authors that are contributing to the book, the Sacred Rebel book. Really powerful. So I've got some spots available that I'm going to be talking a bit more about over the next 2 days. Mwah! Alrighty, my loves. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.